Estelle Campbell. I'm managing director here at Sierra Madre Playhouse. And today we are very fortunate to have a longtime resident, man about town, Joe Feeney, with us, filled with all sorts of history and tales about what was the Sierra Madre Playhouse, and before that, the Bogart Theater. So, Joe, we hope you'll tell us some of the wild tales you can recall from the 60s. But let's start out. Tell us a little bit about how you came to Sierra Madre. Were you here as a boy, or what was your...
Well, my folks moved here in '61, and they moved into the Wistaria house. So I grew up here, and back then this was a movie theater exclusively, with the seats going all the way back towards the where the restrooms are now, and that projection booths up above. And every now and then I'd come down here and see a movie. And around town, that's what you'd do. Every now and then you'd go down to the theater and see a movie. And it was a nice little fixture. Had been here a long time, so it was part of the fabric.
So is it kids, how old were you when you started?
11.
11. So is it just like now, kids are pretty much sort of on their own to come down the street and stop in?
Back then, dogs were running loose all over town, and kids were running loose all over town. I mean, you walk downtown, and there'd be a lot of kids, anywhere from 5 to 15, and it was totally safe. And you had the run of the place. It was really, really nice.
Great. So tell me a little bit about we've heard a wonderful tale you have about coming to the theater. Why don't you share that one with us, Joe?
Let's see. Which one would that be?
I think you mentioned about coming and seeing Clockwork Orange.
Oh, well, Alice Cooper showed up here one time to see Clockwork Orange. Because they would play odd, like Clockwork Orange would be done for a year, and then they'd get a deal when they went down to rent the movies to show them here. And it showed one time, and it was in the paper, and Alice Cooper showed up.
Goodness.
In a Cadillac, which just was nice. He must have loved it.
And so you were pretty much alone here, private screening with Alice Cooper. That was quite a big deal when that movie came out in 1971. I wonder if that was about the time.
It might have been 72 when it played here. It was a lot later. They had George Harrison showed up here one time.
Really?
It was connected with Dr. Music. Harrison had done a session, cutting a record in LA, and his guitar went missing. So he showed up here with 2 large Tony Soprano types with him. And he showed up at Dr. Music, and he said, somebody took my guitar, and I want my guitar back. And so...
And this was prior to Find My Phone or Find My Guitar. How did he figure to come here?
Apparently the musician he suspected, somehow, you know how the musician's world is, somehow that orbit of that individual went through here periodically. So the boys got on the phones, and the guitar showed up.
Wow. Well,
that was when George Harrison.
My goodness. So any other wild stories to tell us?
Oh, I don't know, so wild. Wild for me, I painted this place black one time. And I did it for Charles. And...
no, Charles and Tracy,
yeah,
so everyone knows, really legendary. He really is the one who brought theater to this movie house, and it became at that time performing arts theater. I guess it was probably in the 80s. Is that right, Joe?
I bet it was in the 80s. And he held it together with bubblegum, baling wire, and love. And I gave him a prize for painting that ceiling and the walls black. And it was really quite a job, because that's a high ceiling. Mm-hmm. And then I got about half of it in cash one day. And then ever after, I'd say, hey, Charles, when did? And he said, oh, maybe next week. And then that was my first brush with how theater life went,
Yes.
And I knew he was making this go on the level. And I didn't hold him, I never held any rancor for that. I felt like that was my little contribution to his theater. And Dale White, I think, owned it at that time. And he was letting Charles slide on the rent, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And Dale White was an instructor at the Pasadena Playhouse. Mm-hmm. And when that closed, he was in video. He figured, well, okay, I've been teaching video. I'm going to go out and make money doing it. And he did. And he loved this place too. And Charles and he really made this float as a venue for performing arts. And God bless them both. They really did a job. And Charles had a lot of physical ailments. And he was in a lot of pain a lot of the time. You could see it when you looked at him. Yeah. And he had his day job. And he did this out of love. And it was just wonderful that he did it. It's a wonderful example to see him and Dale, keep this rolling.
That's wonderful. And then I'm sure, I know the Callaways certainly have told us stories about the days of, Charles keeping the theater going. And I guess at some point, some of the residents came in and managed to buy this building and made, I guess, Charles a partner in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that might have been before Dale White showed up, or he might have been part of the partnership.
Yeah.
Great. It's a great.
Well, Joe, you've been very since my time here. I've known you to be a very loyal supporter of the Playhouse, and I appreciate it. And thank you so much.
Oh, it's so lovely. Thank you very much.